term. And I make that child, sometimes I would say, please may I have the toy when you're finished? And they repeat after me. So they can do that. They can repeat. Even what kind of small language skills they have, they can repeat in the 3-year-olds. In the 2-year-olds, I emphasize please and thank you. Those are my 2 biggies in 2-year-olds. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. I have please. Get out, okay? If you want something. 2-year-olds, cooperative play is not even a possibility. They're on the edge of 2-and-a-half-year-olds, they will start that. But you can still emphasize please and thank you for what they're going to do. Let's see. Never pull a child by an arm. You're having trouble with a child, you reach down, pick them up underneath both arms, hold them, and a lot of times you may have to hold them to keep them from hitting or whatever it is. If you have to leave with a child, the best thing is to call a coordinator, and the coordinator takes that child. Because ideally, for safety, we need 2 people in the classroom at all times. You know, very rarely is the coordinator not there, and you have to go out with them. That's a very rare case when that happens. Let's see. Didn't get to go over curriculum as much as I would, but basically, when you see this, please, please, please come early so you can look this over. You know, you need to know when to put the marshmallows down. You need to know what to say. You need to know what the Bible story is. I wish I could say this will be online, but I'm not that good. Me and computers, you know how they say you could never crash one by hitting the key? I did. So I'm just not that good at that. But what will happen? Yeah. What will happen is there is going to be a 3-ring binder in each classroom. This one will be a little different because it doesn't have the, there's not as much to the lesson. But I'm going to have an entire quarter, which will be 3 months of lessons, in a 3-ring binder sitting there. I'm going to make 3 copies. Devin's going to have a copy of the binder. I'm going to have a copy of the binder, and there's going to be one here. So if something happens to the binder, people use our rooms when they're not supposed to. I'm going to instruct you to put the binder back underneath the cabinets, because Maranatha uses these occasionally. Other people use them. Kids come in here. I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and put the binder in there so that if you know I'm on the 2nd week and I'd like to look at my lesson, you can go in and look at it. It'll be labeled for February.
Would it be extra copy? Can we just take one
I
out?
guess we could. I can write that down for extra copies. That's where it'd be good if I could email it to you, and I'm not good at that, but email extra copies.
Real quick before I forget, one thing that I forgot to say with the check-in and check-out sheet is if you have a child, for instance, we don't do, in the nursery, we don't wait for promotion Sunday. When a child turns 3, they go next door. So write on your care sheet, on your check-in and out sheet, write move to 3-year-old. If you have a child that is like a visitor that's turned into a regular attender, write add next to their handwritten name, because not everybody's name is printed. And Devin is going to redo those sheets every month, and so a parent should only have to write their child's name 4 times before it ever gets actually, gets added to the thing. So if you notice that, this child has been around, or this child knows that this is their nursery kind of thing, you can write add next to their, and the flip side of that is if you know that there's a child on that list that family has left the church or has moved to California or whatever.
Or they're moved up.
Or they've moved up. If they've moved up, please write, move to 3-year-old room so Devin knows to take them off this list and put them on that list. But you can also write remove next to the name if you know the family has moved away or whatever. So that way we can try to keep those lists as current as possible. And because it just takes longer if a parent has to actually write the name out, or if you have to write the name out than if it's actually printed on.
And they don't feel like they, say, I've been coming here 2 months.
I know.
That kind of thing. That's probably the worst.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, that's
A couple more things I want to cover real quickly. One of it is both rooms have teenage helpers. Some of them do, some of them don't. I don't know how many are on the schedule now, but please be very directive. They're the kids that were this age and they need directions, and they're this age and they still need directions. I think they need more directions than this because they get ADD and their social hormones are on steroids. And so, they're visiting and someone's come in the room and they're talking and chatting. You need to be very directive with that teenage helper. You need to say specifically what you want them to do. I think one of the biggest things we have to cover is they're not just here to play and wrestle with the kids. Wrestling in my class is a no, no, no. You may wrestle with your daddy. You may not wrestle at my class. This is a class. We don't wrestle in class in school. And so the teenage helpers love to do that with them, and they like to play with them. And I want them to play with them. They add that sometimes when we're like, I'm tasked, I'm going to teach, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. We're still here to play with them. But I can get in that task mode sometimes and forget that I need to sit down and that's where the teenage helpers really help. But that's the thing, they're here to be helpers. So you have to give some direction to them. Will you please go over and just get out a puzzle and sit with so-and-so? Would you take so-and-so to the bathroom and just stand outside and wait? Would you, you have to do that kind of stuff. And so you have to be a little bit of a supervisor in that mode too, that you need to do. So just a little heads up on that one.
Teenagers should not change diapers, though.
Right, right. Adults.
And if you're having problems with your teen worker, say something.
Yes.
Talk to
Let the coordinator
know, so that we can address that with Pastor Devin or whomever.
Yeah, yeah. We need to know, because if they're here just to get out of service, that's not the goal. That's not the goal. A couple things that we wanted to point is, please don't wear perfume on your days. We've had some kids that it really has bothered, and so please don't wear perfume on the days that you're here. Make sure you're dressed appropriately. If you're in heels and tie, you're not going to be able to function. And watch how low your neckline is, because you're picking and bending kids. You're bending out to that kids.
I don't want to see you
dress children. Yeah, dress appropriately. Coordinators, I want to touch something with you really quick. Please, 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 once we get our schedule going, don't bring snack in early and don't set it on the counter. Oh my gosh, you lose your kids immediately because they're ready. They are, Pavlov's dog. I'm ready now. Feed me.
And they know when it's snack
time. Yeah, they know when snack is coming. So we need to make sure.
For the coordinators?
Yeah. Well, you'll have a copy of this when we start.
Okay.
I'm not saying that there's not going to be days where we want to get outside. Could we have it at such and such a time? But then we need, as teachers, to tell them that. Spring's going to come and we're going to want to be outside. And I can't always put that in the schedule because I'm trying to schedule the activities that are going on. But, the free time areas when we're going to use to go outside instead of here. Outside has a whole other goal. We're really working on getting a tub with some good toys that will stay out there and not be destroyed.
Can you make sure that you schedule a free time for these rooms at separate times so that when we get to the spring,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That way the free time,
yes,
there's not an issue. We know that, okay, the free play for this room is from 11 to 11:15, and the free play for that room is 10:45 or whatever.
And by the way, they love the shovel. That keeps them going.
Yeah.
They just have things to put in this.
2 years ago, I did garage selling just for Nursery, and it was fun. I had extra time then, and it was fun, and I found almost everything you see out there, I found at a garage sale. And now it's getting bad, so we need to do that again. So we may just let people know when we can garage sale and that kind of stuff, and keep your eyes open as they're going. I think that's it. Let me take, if anybody got some questions about things, yes.
One of the comments I want to make is, during food time, this is kind of one of my rules, and I think it's a good one, that there's no getting up.
Right, right.
They have to sit on their bottoms. And
right.
Because I know some parents, and drinks, I don't want my kids to walk around with drinks either because it's just too much. And when kids come in late, I don't give them food because, or if they want more food, because then they all want it.
Right.
So I just want to mention that it's just kind of a general,
It should be.
just for your sake, and you guys don't have chaos, because I had to learn the hard way. I was just like, oh, you want some more snacks? And then 5 of them come over, and then they start fighting, and da-da-da-da, and that was okay.
Snack time should be very contained, like on this. We have a certain time limit. We've got kids over there that will eat one nibble at a time, and I'm going to say, okay, when we're done, it goes in the trash, so you need to make sure that you're eating crackers now. And that was hard for my kids, because I've got one, I won't say who the child is, but I mean inevitably it takes them an hour to eat if I let them. So I'm like, okay, you only got a cookie, I'm sorry, throw it in the trash. This is part of school, this is part of what we're doing at school, but I kind of say it that way. Because they need to know a time. It's different. At home, they can do whatever they want. And some of these kids do just eat whatever they want. Okay, we need to work on the schedule, try to follow it as best we can. You're going to make a little bit of allowances for some, but yeah, I don't. That's another thing is that it is a time on task thing. They learn that it's time to do this now, and then they learn to do the next thing, and then go on. And so it's an attention span with the 2-year-olds too. They learn to focus on what they're doing now, and then move on.
The other thing with snack is that if you let them get up from here and walk over here, then, if you're focused on these kids over here, you're paying attention to whether or not someone over here is choking on their goldfish.
Right, they won't.
Right.
You may or may not over there. And also, you've got cups. If you let cups go over there, you've got 10 kids drinking out of the same cup.
Yep.
So you've got those kinds of things. So if they get up, what I do is when I'm in here with the 2-year-olds, I give them one warning. If you get up, are you finished with your snack? And if they say no, I say, well, go sit back down and finish it. If they say yes, let me clear it up. And then if I have to ask them to do that again, it's gone.
You take it and put it up here, out of their reach,